Hello everyone and welcome to round 11 of the AOR F1 2013 Season 7 Championship. It's the Korean Grand Prix. We're going around the Korea International Circuit today. I'm Matthew Gallagher and joining me once again in the commentary box, it's Scott Woodwis.
Yes, thank you very much, Matty. Good to be back once again. Hi, everybody. And this is quite an intriguing circuit, the Korea International Circuit in Yeongnam, Korea. It's got three very intriguing, very different sectors. The first, with long straights, is very key for downforce and top speed. The second sector is more akin to that of a traditional racetrack. And then sector 3 is more like a street circuit, so aerodynamic grip and mechanical grip are going to be incredibly important here. Overtaking is only really going to be prominent on the long straights. The rest of the circuit doesn't really invite it at all because the turns are pretty tight and twisty. But even so, it's going to be quite murder on tyre because of these contrasting sectors. Hopefully it should make for some intriguing racing, hopefully a bit more exciting than the real F1 that's taking place in Korea for sure.
Definitely, I think consistency is going to be key around here, and with the strategy I'm sure there's going to be many different strategies the driver's going to be going for, but the Season 6 podium was in fact Noble 2909 taking the victory from TRL Limitless in second place, with xMattyG coming home in the final podium position. The Season 6 pole position went to xMattyG with a 1:35.5. Let's find out how everybody did in the qualifying report.
So here we are for the qualifier comparison for the Korean Grand Prix. TRL Limitless and Noble 2909 on screen as we head into turn 1. The exit of the corner vastly more important than the entry, as carrying good exit speed will really benefit the drivers down this first of the long back straights. Some curves being used, DRS eventually becoming activated as they now climb towards their top speeds before braking hard for turn 3, easing the car over to the left, trying to spot their braking point before coming all the way down into first gear. Important once again to take a nice late apex to maximise their speed down this, the second of the back straights. Rest of the curves being used already in this first sector as we come into the second sector now. Very slow to begin with as we go through this 180 degree left-hander in first gear, clipping the apex, getting it hooked in there before the two 90 degree corners, first the right and then the left, again first gear corners, before now climbing up and over the hill into this very fast and flat out section of turns 7 and 8. Trying to maximise the speed through here, taking the line of least resistance before chucking the car into this left-hander, difference of gear being used by the drivers before coming through another slow right-hander. Up next is the difficult double apex left-hander of turn 11. Important to keep the car close to the curb on the exit to open up the right-hander of turn 12 as we now approach the third sector. Absolutely nothing to separate the drivers through the second sector split as they now try and navigate their way as best as they can through these quick sequence of corners. A pair of left-handers now before it'll open up around the long final turn of this right-hander, and then keeping it flat, driving to the line, and it's TRL Limitless who will be coming out on top. Once again in a qualifying comparison between these two drivers, he will line up on pole position just 39/1000ths of a second ahead of Noble 2909. Back to your main commentators now for the full qualifying classifications.
As always, thank you very much to Harry Jacks for that qualifying comparison. Now let's take a look at how they'll line up on the grid this afternoon in Yeongnam. As you just saw, TRL Limitless just squeezed out Noble 2909 for pole position, with the Toro Rosso taking the top spot by 39,000ths of a second from the Williams in second. Row 2 sees a new boy join the Ferrari squad, with Thierry Rosberg graduating from the GP2 League and making an instantaneous impact with third on the grid. He'll start alongside the rapid Irishman RickeeyC in the McLaren, who has some improved performance over his past couple of qualifyings. Row 3 sees Fisi in the Red Bull alongside Randy McScrandy in the second McLaren, while Row 4 sees another impressive performance by SE Racing Team to grab 7th in the Caterham, with Mazy up in 8th. The Czech driver scored one of his best qualifying results of the season. Row 5 sees Trace B92 in the Red Bull alongside a very stressed xMattyG, who had a very difficult qualifying session and ended up starting on 10th on the prime tyres, 1.8 seconds off pole. TLR Martin is the only other man to start on the prime tyres in 11th spot, 2.5 seconds off pole, and alongside him will be Jason 97 F1 in the only Force India as he failed to set a time. 3 non-starters today with TRL Minty in the second Toro Rosso, the Constants in the Sauber, and HyperX Callum in the Force India. There's the grid, now let's head out there for the Season 7 Korean Grand Prix.
It's race time. It's the Korean Grand Prix. It's xMattyG and RapidScorpion commentating for you today. There is no chance of rain. There is no rain in the air to affect the drivers this afternoon. It is down purely to driver skill. Scott, who's your money on?
Well, it's going to be pretty tricky. Limitless will try and have to do all he can. With Matty back in 10th, he's going to want to try and extend his points advantage. So Matty will have to take advantage of any overtakes he can make in the first couple of laps. It's going to be crucial if he's going to want to stay in the fight for second place. So we're going to get the lights in a few minutes. Let's see what happens.
Here they come. We've got 3, now 4 lights. There's the final one. The lights are out and away we go for the Korean Grand Prix. We're on board with Noble, the championship leader by a hefty margin, filing behind Limitless down towards turn 1, and that is Fisi fan looking around the outside of Ricky, and it looks like there's actually not been any contact down into turn 1, which is good. We are now back on board with Fisi in 5th place. Rosberg looks like he's had a slightly bad exit out of turn 1 and he's losing the position to Ricky down towards this tight hairpin, and we're now on board with the Caterham driver, SE Racing Team in 7th, and now Fisi, who's now dropped down to 6th after Randy is now up the inside, and as he looks up the inside of Rosberg as well, which yet it looks like they're side by side actually, as we're now on board with Fisi, who's now side by side with Randy, using the rest of his curves almost and getting a slight run on Randy and back up into 5th place as we come down towards turn 4, and Randy trying to hang it round the outside. It looks like he is in the McLaren and he has done so. Brilliant braking there, and it looks like SE's had slight contact with xMattyG and he's almost forcing him wide, but Matty's managed to take advantage of SE running wide, but now Matty's run wide and now SE's taken the position straight back, and they're now side by side going through this fast complex of corners, and there's been slight contact with the rear wheel. Matty's had to get out of it and he's lost time, and who's that? That's Trace going around the outside, and Matty's now lost a position to Trace, and Mazy is all over the Williams driver as well. So action galore, Scott, with quite a lot of overtakes going on, but not many changes of position.
And what's crucial for Matt is that he needs to try and get rid of these cars as quickly as possible. The fact that Limitless is still up there at the front being chased by Noble on the end of the first lap means that Matt is going to have to try and dispatch them incredibly quickly. Getting stuck behind them in this kind of traffic is not going to do him any favours later on in the race if he can't dispatch them as soon as possible. Now on board with Fisi in 6th, chasing after Randy. So the two McLarens not running too bad up at the front. Small little tail slide from Fisi as the tyres are getting up to temperature. But back onto the pit straight once again. Limitless leads Noble by just under half a second. And let's take a look at a replay of the start. So we're looking on board with Noble, straight into Rich Mix 3, and as per usual, he slots in just behind Limitless down towards turn 1, and they pretty much hold station, just about misses out on contact, and uses some of the AstroTurf on the left. Rosberg tries to get his nose up the inside, but Noble covered the line perfectly, and which ensures the Williams driver stays in 2nd. This is SE Racing watching as Randy went over the curb on the inside of turn 1, and now that the view again from Matty, we see Martin trying to go down the outside. Mazy took the route across the curb as well, and Trace Me thought he'd been passed by Matty, but then came back at him on the run down the straight. This is on board with Mazy, who tags the left rear of the Caterham SE Racing, who I think put his hand up in disapproval. And then SE Racing then moves back past. They go 3 wide down towards turn 4, and then Matty just gets his nose up the inside. I think possibly SE didn't realise that Matty was that far enough alongside, puts his hand up in disapproval, but Matty then stuck it back up the inside through turn 6, went a little too deep, and that allowed SE to get the cut back on the exit with those much better option tyres, allowed him to get back through on the inside through the exit of the corner. This is now Fisi fan and Randy battling over P5, some close fighting going on between these two. So relatively clean apart from a couple of pieces of wheel rubbing, but as you said, doesn't seem to be too many position changes, although we're going to get one in a second, as I think that is going to be Randy trying to make a move on Rosberg now for P4, and he has got the move done. The McLaren up as we've got a car running wide. Is that Trace Me possibly running wide? I couldn't see who it was, but someone's already running wide. But already got a couple of battles going on, and it should be some fantastic moves in the first couple of laps.
Yeah, I think that was Trace that ran wide at the hairpin as Randy and Rosberg are going side by side through these complex corners, and Randy is still up into 4th place. Rosberg down into 5th now after a very strong qualifying in 3rd. Rosberg has he has such potential to take victories at the end of this season because he has got huge amounts of pace, as has been seen in practice. So Rosberg will be quite disappointed being down in 5th place and losing touch with the top 3 already. Another person will probably be disappointed is Matty, down in 8th position after having a poor qualifying and having to start on the prime tyres. And we're now on board with his teammate Noble 2909 right behind Limitless, and I'm sure Noble will not be wanting to let that Toro Rosso out of his sights, and especially out of the DRS zone, which will become active next lap. And we are now on board with Fisi, and as you can see already, it's coming towards the end of lap 2 now, and the tyres are starting to go off already. So these guys are probably going to be looking at a 3-stop here today. Some people might try and stretch it, but we shall see. towards the sort of maybe next 4 or 5 laps to see. But the option tyres really do not last very long around here at all. So expect pit stops in the next couple of laps, especially for the front runners. And Limitless, he tends to go a little bit longer on the tyres and tries to have fresher tyres towards the end of the stint, whereas Noble, I'm sure, may or not go for an undercut on Limitless, as he is behind him at the moment. And Noble, as we have seen many times before, likes to be out in front just to increase the gap. As we now have Essie coming down the straight with Fisi fan down towards the hairpin up the inside. Can he make it stick under braking? It looks like he's going slightly wide, but covering off the line that Fisi was trying to undercut with. But he's got a little bit of curves now, so Fisi looking to the outside again. Can he outbrake him down towards turn 4? We shall see. It's a left-hander, so he's going to take the outside line. Can he make it stick? Essie going slightly wide, pushing Fisi, but Fisi will now have the inside line for the next corner. And it looks like he is up into 7th, unless Essie can make a move up the inside for this left, but he can't because Fisi just squeezed him out enough. And fair racing from Fisi, up into 6th place again now, with Matty the next target, the next person that Essie will be coming under pressure from, as Noble is now behind Limitless once again. And Scott, I mean, it's quite interesting to see the top 3, and RickeeyC, in fact, is part of that top 3. They seem to be getting away.
It looks as though they've got ultimate pace early on in this stint, and you mentioned about how Limitless is possibly a bit more easier on his tyres, but if he's said in the fastest lap of the race already with a 1:40.3, he's certainly keeping a decent pace whilst conserving those tyres, if he's conserving those tyres, in fact, as we see Noble just playing around with his fuel mixes to try and get the optimum amount of power usage, but balance of power and fuel saving whilst he's in the draft of Limitless down the straights. So he's just closing in now down the pit straight as they start lap 4, and I'm pretty sure he'll get DRS, as he already has down this first pit straight. Now through turn 1, he's got a much better exit through there. Limitless runs wide, kicks up the dust a little bit on the AstroTurf, and he'll get DRS halfway down the straight, and already using some curves as well, as Rosberg pumps in a 40.0. How's that to announce yourself to the AOR League? I think he's running in about 5th spot behind Randy, and he's already making an impact already in the league to go along with his 3rd spot in qualifying. So another man who's graduated from GP2 and gone straight up to the front of the field, as did Martin in the past couple of races. So Ferrari have got two very strong drivers coming up from the lower league straight into the top F1 league in AOR, and immediately making an incredible impact on the rest of the field, as we're now watching Essie Racing Team trying to make an impact on Fisi Fan's race, trying to go around the outside. And he's going to do exactly what Fisi just did to him a lap ago, but Fisi's going to brave it up through turn 6. But Essie's just got so much more grip and momentum. And what's incredible about that sector, that turns 4, 5 and 6, it does very much invite side-by-side racing. But when you're in that kind of position, you're relying very heavily on the other guy to place his car in the right position, to not move across, and to use his mirrors and to use his peripheral vision as best he can to not cause an accident. So that was great side-by-side driving and sensible driving from both Fisi and Essie to not make an impact with each other. But Noble now is at least keeping Limitless honest at the front in the early laps, and I'm pretty sure we'll see a pit stop in the early laps from all the guys on the option tyre. Of course, the compound split is super softs for the option tyres and primes for the medium tyres, which is what Matty's currently in. In fact, as I say that, Noble's in, so Noble's the first to blink. It looks like, as you said, Matty, he's going for the undercut as Limitless carries on, and this is all going to be crucial. Noble's outlap are going to have to be spot on if he's going to try and beat Limitless out of the pits, provided that the Toro Rosso driver does indeed come in at the end of this lap.
Yep, indeed, he's in now. He's going to get. Oh, he's going on to another set of option tyres. So that's going to be interesting strategy split between the drivers, because some may go for the prime tyres early on, and others, as you can see here, Mazy goes onto the primes for his next stint. But Noble's going for a very quick second stint on those fresh option tyres, because he's going to then probably go on to another 2 sets of primes for the next part of the race. But we shall see as Matty slightly locks up, or just can't stop his car into the hairpin, losing a slight bit of time on Fisi ahead. And these guys are probably going quite slowly at the moment, because they are trying to push their tyres as much as possible. Noble's actually pitted quite early, as you can see. Fisi's, he's got about orange tyres at the moment, which indicate that his tyres are pretty warm, but they're just about there. They haven't fallen off the cliff yet. So Noble really could have tried to keep or go another lap and then stayed on the same strategy as Limitless, but he's decided to go in earlier, get those fresh options on, and I wouldn't be surprised if he jumps Limitless after Limitless. Well, I'm assuming Limitless will be coming into the pits at the end of this lap, as Fisi is all over the back of SE, and it looks like he's struggling with his tyres quite a lot, is SE, and he's gone wide, but Fisi had nowhere to go, and SE managing to get onto the power just slightly sooner than Fisi and maintaining what is 3rd position at the moment, but obviously quite a few people have pitted. And Matty is still right behind, as you can see now, as we are on board with the Williams driver right behind these two, and he's going to hope that they both peel into the pits so he doesn't lose too much time as Limitless looks like he's going to be peeling into the pits. Yes, he does. Which tyres is he going to go on? Is he going to go on the same as Noble, or will he be going onto the prime tyres? We shall find out in a minute. And we are now on board with Matty again, as we see... Oh, we see SE peel into the pits, but Fisi carry on for another lap. So Fisi is going for some fresher tyres. Or maybe he's actually going for a 2-stop here, is Fisi, if he is trying to stretch his option tyres onto lap 6 now. As the prime tyres, you could probably stretch to around 9 or 10 laps. So Fisi may well be going for an option prime. Prime is usually what you'd go for in a 2-stop, but maybe he's even going to try and push it to an option prime option. We shall see, as SE comes out of the pits in 8th position, gets a slide on in that Caterham, and that's not going to help his straight line speed down this long straight. Speaking of long straight, we're now on board with Noble coming down towards the hairpin, and he has actually jumped Limitless and is ahead, which is no surprise after having an extra lap on those fresh options, Scott.
And that's quite crucial, of course, for track position. I mean, if you're going to get yourself into the DRS zone, provided Limitless can get himself back up there as quickly as possible, depending on how quickly you can get the temperature into the tyres. As we watch provisional race leader RickeeyC running very wide across the grass. We know his tyres are quite warm. We didn't think they were that warm to run him off that wide. And Fisi is following suit as well. So that means that xMattyG, who started back in 10th on the prime tyres, is now up into the lead of the race. And that's quite crucial, just how far he can stretch that advantage on the harder compound before he makes his first stop. So watching, as we're seeing these guys make their pit stops, both Fisi and also Ricky, and Ricky seems to have got out ahead of the Red Bull. Just talking back to what I was saying about Noble and Limitless. Limitless is going to have to try and stay there as, whoa, Ricky comes back out and finds a wild Rosberg in front of him as he pulls across and makes a bit of contact as they rub wheels. Rosberg manages to hold track position because of that. And now an intriguing situation is we see now Ricky's now under attack from teammate Randy. So a bit of inter-team rivalry going on here. Ricky's of course on his fresh prime tyres. I think Randy's been on those for about a couple of laps at least, I believe, because I think him and Rosberg pitted on around lap 4, a lap before, in fact, I think on the same lap actually as Noble. So these guys have been out there for quite a while getting those tyres up to temperature. Ricky's in the process of doing that. He's not even through half a lap yet, but he has now got an incentive to push a little bit harder because Rosberg is right in front there in the Ferrari. Now looking at SE Race Team is 7th, and his tyres are ready up to temperature. He's going sideways through turn 6, and that's going to give Fisifan all the incentive he needs to try and push harder to try and grab 7th. And now further round the lap, we're watching that SE Racing Team holding on in that Caterham in 7th place. And if you watch these guys battle, just back to the point I was trying to make about Noble and Limitless. Limitless now has got it all to do as we now jump to the Toro Rosso driver, closing in on the 2 Williamses in front of him. And he is in DRS range, so what's going to be crucial is in this second stint, if he's got enough pace and can use the grip of those option tyres as best he can to try and close that gap and be in DRS range. He currently is now and has got it wide open, going to reach around 200 miles an hour. In fact, Noble, with the aid of a small toe from Matty in front, touching about 203 miles an hour down the back straight under braking for turn 3. So already he's going to try and get around his teammate, which looks like he's not going to give him too much trouble. And he's now going to go back down to standard mix 2 as Noble moves back into the lead. And what's going to be crucial here is I wonder what kind of role Matty's going to play here, if whether or not he knows he has to try and finish ahead of Limitless at this point because he's battling with Limitless for second ever championship. So effectively there could be some kind of inconspicuous is the wrong word, kind of like indirect tactics here. That Matty's going to try and run as long as he can on the prime tyres, but the longer he stays in front of Limitless, the more of an opportunity that will give Noble to sail away into the distance, making the task of Limitless to catch up in the latter stages of the race all the more difficult. So we're going to have to watch with interest here to exactly what kind of role Matty plays here. There's contact between the two of them, so Limitless is certainly eager to get past, but Matty's certainly not making it easy, allowing his teammates to just pull away with the lead as we head towards the first third of this race.
You can see Matty is struggling very much in his tyres at the moment. They're coming towards the end of its lifespan as he's already done qualifying lap as well as 8 laps of the race as Limitless does hit the back of the Williams, forcing Matty to go slightly wide. But Limitless should have a really good opportunity down towards turn 1. Noble's probably pulled out a couple of seconds with Limitless being held up behind Matty through that middle and last sector. And here we go. Limitless should easily outbrake Matty down to turn 1. Matty doesn't make it too hard for him. He knows that Limitless is on faster tyres, but I think the middle and last sectors really, there's no overtaking opportunities, and as you can see, Matty is losing time to Limitless hand over fist already as he still has DRS, so he may well be able to close up a little bit down towards the hairpin, but I wouldn't be surprised if Limitless then flies off on his fresh options. We're now on board with Mazy down in 9th position. He's lost a position from his qualifying grid spot, and he's got Martin right behind him as well. Martin being a very quick driver indeed, as we've seen especially with his performance at Monza and his debut race. And Martin now flies flying past with DRS up into 9th place. Mazy now down to a single points paying position in 10th, with Trace92 not too far behind in 11th position. Trace not having a great race right now, as I think he's put very little practice into this race and is out of the points at the moment. We now have a replay of RickeeyC going past Rosberg and up into 4th position. So Ricky driving really well at the moment. I mean, he's had a very up and down season, I'd say, as you can see now Rosberg coming back on him up the inside down towards turn 4, but it seems like there may be a little bit of lag as Rosberg was starting to close and just squeeze Ricky off the track almost. Ricky having to back out of it and concede the position, but I'm sure Rosberg was not doing that intentionally, as we're now back on board with Fisi, and well, we don't have anything for that, but we are now on board with Fisi with the live feed, and we're behind SC Racing. Once again, these two they can't seem to be separated so far, with 9 laps gone, as it looks like Matty is finally coming into the pits, and he may well be going on to another set of primes, but we shall see. Let's have a look. Oh no, he's going on to the option tyres, so he's going to go for a quick stint for this second stint to try and make up the time he's lost on those warm primes.
Of course, he's going to find a lot of traffic in the midfield, including those two McLarens as they continue to battle. Williams boys fit those prime super soft options, super soft tyres, and away he goes. Now watching here as the two McLarens go side by side down towards turn 3 is Limitless in his pursuit of trying to catch and reel in Noble, locks up the inside front wheel and runs deep into turn 3. And as we were talking about that, Rowdy's managed to get past Ricky in the slipstream on pure straight line speed, as is Fisi attempting to do right now on SE Racing Team up the inside. And again, this side-by-side racing is absolutely incredible how this circuit does invite it quite a lot. And he's now going to come back up the inside, I would have thought. We cut back to the two McLarens, who are still scrapping amongst themselves. And whilst all that's happening, Rosberg will just look at his mirrors and think, carry on, boys. I'm just going to try and sail away in what is almost certainly going to be 3rd position. Now, Fisi's going to hold on for the moment ahead of SE Racing Team. Nice clean run through turns 4, 5 and 6 in this wonderful high-speed section. We cut to another replay. This is now xMattyG come out the pits, and look how close that was. That was Mazy and Trace almost wiping Matty out completely as he comes out the pits. This is Mazy's view of it. So down the pit straight comes. He's under attack from Trace, and Trace just leaves his braking way too late. They both outbrake themselves, run deep, and that's easily going to give Matty the chance to slip by both of them. So that could have nearly been race ending for Matty, and of course now also Jason97 F1 getting involved, and we see down towards turn 3, Jason actually getting a much better exit from the I spoke too soon, because no he doesn't, because Mazy gets better traction and remains in front of the Force India. So a lot of antics going on down the bottom of the field, as we're now looking at Noble gone to Lee Mix 1, and he's in for his 2nd stop now, so he's going on to his 3rd set of what I think is option tyres, as Limitless carries on once again. So these guys are trying to get the option tyres out of the way as quickly as possible, and I'm thinking possibly if they're going to go to the medium tyres, they're going to do this is going to be their 3rd and final stint on the option tyres before they switch over to the primes and run it for the remaining sort of 15, 14 laps or so to the end. So those guys are going to try and stretch it out, and of course with the lighter fuel loads near the end of the race, it's only going to make tyre wear that little bit easier.
It's very interesting actually that Noble's gone to another set of option tyres. It's not usually the conventional strategy that we see in the other races. It's usually a simple 2 or 3 stop with the start being on options and the rest on primes. But Noble has gone on to another set of option tyres, flying past Fisi already. What with a good exit probably out of turns 1 and 2, and then just flying past with DRS. So Noble up into 5th place. It looks like he's got a bit of a gap to 4th, so he's got a bit of time, a bit of space to put in some fast laps, as Trace and Mazy are still battling after nearly ending xMattyG's race at turn 1, and it looks like they may be side by side. Yes, they are, and Trace seems like he's got a slight bit advantage, but Mazy used a bit of curves down towards turn 4. This is for a sole points paying position at the moment, and Trace looks like he's not going to be able to slow the car down. It's given a bit of space to Mazy, but he's lost the back end, and there's Jason I think as well trying to get in on the action, and Trace managing to just about hold on to 10th position. And Mazy looks like he's going to get a bit better of a run, but he's a bit squirmy on the exit and not being able to take advantage of Trace's mistake. But here we go, there's Matty now in 9th position, so really it's not going too well for him at the moment, but he's right behind Martin, and purely with Martin making a slight mistake, and Matty on the fresh tyres is back up into 8th position, and he can really start setting his sights on the cars ahead. But it looks like Matty's going to be going on to a different strategy to a lot of people who are going for a 3-stop. Matty is in fact looking like he's going on to a 2-stop, what with stretching his primes quite a long way into this race. But I think the majority of drivers will be going on to a 3-stop, with only a few doing a 2. So we will see which one's the fastest by the end of the race. But at the moment, it looks like it's a 2-stop with Limitless and Noble out, well, technically out in front, with RickeeyC in on the action as well, around 3rd and 4th position. And here we go, Limitless has come out, and he's got SE Racing Team in between himself and Noble, so he's going to have to try and dispatch of SE as quickly as possible. He's got +1 lap of fuel, so he really can burn some fuel if he needs to get past the Caterham, which I would suggest he does, as Mazy just can't get any traction in that Sauber at the moment, and he loses a position to Jason, and I'm sure Jason will have DRS as well. No, he doesn't. Mazy has DRS. So here we go, Mazy should easily take back 10th position, and that's what's interesting on this track, Scott, is that it's double DRS, meaning that the drivers are sometimes tempted to do the overtake into turn 1, but as we've seen in the real F1 as well, it really isn't, it's not advantageous to do that, because then the other driver will have DRS down the straight.
I think what was crazy is the fact that Mazy must have been at the detection point. Obviously, by the time he reached it, he was behind Jason, and that's the reason why he got DRS, as we now watch Limitless carving his way back through the field after a stop, making a very bold pass on SE Racing Team through turns 7 and 8, the very high-speed S's. They chuck it through the very quick left-hander of 9, and then the big braking zone of 10. So Limitless already starting to pull away, and that's the advantage that he has on those fresh option tyres compared to SE Racing's much more worn prime tyres that he's been on for quite a few laps. And still, Mazy's now struggling on his worn prime tyres, coming under attack from Randy over the curbs. And the McLaren just goes past around the outside. Jason has also dropped back at some point. Looks like he's down to 12. So he's going to continue his battle. Martin and... that's Rosberg coming to pits, not Martin. So Rosberg pits from 3rd place, leaving Noble to battle with Ricky, who's now inherited the race lead once again. And Ricky being forced a little too deep under pressure. And Noble just going to sail up the inside on the option tyre, using a little bit of curse to get his nose in front. They're going to run almost parallel. Who gets the DRS? In fact, it's Ricky that gets it, not Noble. And now the other Williams of xMattyG trying to go on the outside of SE Racing Team. And also Limitless just breezing past. I think that's Fisi he's going past on the inside. So lots of overtakes going on up and down the field, especially down the run towards turn 3. Sauber boys have made their stop from Mazy, and away he goes on prime tyres. So he's going to run for quite a long, I think, second stint. As we now watch Ricky now looking at the back of Noble, he's going to start to drive away. Limitless, I'm sure, will be on his tail end pretty soon. And Fisi fans, I'm sure, is going to watch him drive away in the next few laps as well on the much faster, super soft option tyre. A little bit over the curbs on the exit of turn 6 for Fisi, but he's trying to push hard. He's up there in 4th, but of course he's got some very fast drivers around him, so he's going to have to do the best that he can to try and keep in contention. And in fact, now on board with Matty, you can see on the mini-map just how close the top 5 are all together. They're very much in the proximity to each other. I think only about, let's say, 4 or 5 seconds covers the top 5, which is pretty incredible if you think about it. It's just how close and how fast the pace is in this race. We're now up towards half distance, with Noble leading, Ricky second, and Limitless third. But of course, we're waiting for Ricky to make his next pit stop, and then the order will shake itself out. And look at that, an incredible 1:38.7 fastest lap for Limitless. We said he likes to look after his tyres, but with that pace, Matty, I'm not sure that's looking after them. That's more burning him up to try and close into Noble for his last pit stop.
I think he's realised that Noble's getting away from him as Matty's now looking up the inside of Fisi down towards the hairpin. Can he make it stick? Here we go, and Fisi just about getting slightly caught on the Williams on the exit of the corner, and Matty managing to come out and up into 4th position. And that is actually a net 4th position for Matty if he does stretch his tyres onto a 2-stop. And Fisi now having to concede the position down to 5th. But yeah, as you said, I think Limitless has just realised that Noble is getting away at a right rate of knots at the moment. And he's having to put in some very quick laps. And he's now going to have to dispatch of Ricky, who's in 2nd position at the moment, and having to pit very soon by the looks of things. It looks like he's trying to stretch his tyres as well onto a 2-stop potentially, as that is a ghost car, I think that is, of Tracy 92. The Red Bull, and obviously Trace is not doing that on purpose. That is not him. That's basically the as Limitless goes up the inside at the double left-hander, there's contact and goes around the outside of Ricky. That was bordering on slightly unfair, I'd say, on Ricky's part, having been slightly hit, but maybe from Limitless' point of view it wasn't so bad and it was just a little bit of lag. But yeah, the ghost cars of there's a ghost car of Trace 92, which is he's actually driving around the track normally, but on everybody else's screen he's spinning around on the circuit. That's how consistent this game is with glitches. So yeah, unfortunately the drivers are going to have to be dealing with that. And you can see on the minimap Fisi, you can see, I think that's Traceme's dot, as you can see, flying off into the distance on the minimap. And we're now on board with Matty, who's chasing down Ricky, and this is for a podium position at the moment. So Matty coming from 10th position on the grid, now fighting for a podium position, and Ricky looks like he is struggling quite a lot on those prime tyres, and he's trying to stretch them as far as he can to make sure that he doesn't lose a lot of time on his final stint, as Matty's using the whole bar of curves, and now DRS, and he's going to fly past the McLaren and up into 3rd position, which he does indeed, and he's not that far off the front too. So it depends if Matty is able to keep those option tyres intact and keep the pace up, and maybe even challenge Limitless and Noble towards the end of the race on the final stint.
Of course, the key thing is just how smooth he is on those tyres. Effectively, he's very gradual on the accelerator. He's very smooth with the steering and doesn't brake too harsh. He can save fuel and also save the tyres. But of course, when you brake, a lot of heat energy goes to the tyres, which actually heats them up. So of course, if they start to overheat, of course, it's going to cause him to lose grip rather than gain it. As we see Rosberg pull off a rather nifty overtake on SE Racing Team through turn 4. And he'll start to pull away now in its 6th position in the Ferrari, and he's doing that already. Look at the advantage he has on those tyres compared to SE Racing Team. They're really the grip gap, I should say, between the super softs and the medium tyres really is substantial, as you'd expected, because it's a 2-step jump in compounds rather than a 1-step jump. Obviously, of course, rather it being super soft and softs, it's super softs and mediums, or rather it being softs and mediums, it's, as I've just said, super softs and mediums. So that kind of what they've done obviously there is to try and make it a little bit more interesting, so that the super softs really, you don't gain so much of the advantages. There's been a huge contact between SE Racing Team and Randy. Now, whether that was lag or the two cars just didn't realise how close they were to each other and just got together, but Randy keeps going in front, which is a bit controversial. I would have thought that if that was contact caused between the two of them, and Randy was up the inside, it was SE in front, I would have thought that he would back off. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But Noble's made his, I think, must be 3rd and final stop, as is Ricky now. He's going on to a set of prime tyres, and off he goes out of the pits. And Matt is also getting service as well. So both the Williams cars are onto prime tyres, I would have thought, to the end of the race. So 10 laps on the prime tyres is definitely doable, despite the bit, with them being the fact they are the medium compound rather than the soft. So Matty exits behind Ricky, but much closer than he was before, as SE Racing Team also grabs a set of medium tyres, and away he goes from 9th spot. So it's all going to be crucial in the final 10 laps. Tyre management is going to be absolutely key. So is fuel management, but tyres even more so. The medium compound tyres will help these guys to push a little bit harder than they would have done on the super softs, but in the end, effectively, whoever can look after that fuel and of course the tyres the best is going to come out on top. And that's what it's all about with this brand new style Formula 1. It's all about tyre management and fuel saving going forward into the final few races. And of course we know that Matty needs all the points he can get to prevent Limitless from running away with 2nd place in the championship.
Yeah, Matty actually lost time in the pit lane and was, in fact, ahead of Ricky at the point of pitting. But Ricky managed to somehow, with his McLaren boys, managed to hold up Matty in the pit lane, having a 4.5 second pit stop, which has cost him and his chances of potentially fighting at the front of the field, as Fisi is now fighting against Rosberg, who is up in 3rd at the moment, and obviously is yet to pit, but he looks like he's going to maybe stretch onto another set of options for his final stint, as Limitless comes into the pits from 1st position and is going to put on a set of primes. He's going to have 1 lap fresher tyres than Noble, but it's going to be interesting to see how far he's going to be behind and whether Noble has caught any traffic on his outlap. And here we go, Limitless in the pits now for Toro Rosso, puts on a fresh set of primes, and he's going to be looking pretty good towards the end of the race, I'd have to say, with plus 1 lap of fuel and fresh tyres. There's Noble going through turn 1, and that is not far at all for Limitless. So I reckon Limitless will be thinking he could actually challenge for the victory here this afternoon, as Rosberg now takes the lead for now before he pits. He overtakes Fisi. That's probably for a net around about 4th or 5th position, as Fisi looks like he's pushing on to a 2-stop as well. And as he's continuing, it looks like he's going to go on to the options as Noble loses the back end, which is only going to help Limitless's sort of objective of catching Noble towards the end of the race. And it looks like Ricky was suffering with a ghost car as well down the straight, and Matty has finally got back past and up into 7th for now. And as you can see, Fisi is holding up Noble quite a lot at the moment, and Limitless 2.6 seconds back at the moment, but that is going to be decreasing. Hand over fist as he slightly hits Fisi's rear wheel as well. Noble's got better traction on those fresher tyres, but Noble would have at least lost about 6 tenths, so I'm sure that the gap will be around about just over a second. and we'll see at the next split. But Limitless is pushing on very hard indeed. He's still got plus 1 lap of fuel. If I were him, I'd really be pushing that fuel into the optimal if I just to catch up to Noble and get within the DRS, but it looks like he's saving it towards the last few laps, which is something that RickeeyC was famous for, and taking Matty quite a few times last season, as Fisi is struggling quite a bit, and Limitless actually hasn't gained that much, as he is now in the dirty air of the Red Bull and is going to have to overtake him as quickly as possible. And he's actually caught him at a reasonably good time, although Fisi is very slow through these corners. But you should see him peel into the pits this lap, as Matty is now all over the back of Martin, and there's a McLaren of, I'm guessing that's Randy. Yes, it is. As you can see, it's 5th place, and Limitless is now going down towards turn 1. Can he overtake Fisi? I'm sure he can, which he does so with ease, up into what is 3rd place, but a net 2nd as we're waiting for Rosberg to stop. And it looks like Noble, yes, he is indeed behind Rosberg at the moment. The Ferrari slightly lagging at the moment as we're going down towards turn 3. Can Noble make it stick? He's got past the car, but he's actually been hit from behind. Rosberg slightly hit him, and Noble's now gone wide, and that means Limitless is going to be closing in. Where is Limitless? He is not that close, but he has gained probably about a second after Rosberg hitting Noble off. But as far as I'm aware, that was down to purely lag. But Rosberg, not particularly, I'm guessing not particularly familiar with the rules or something, has not given the position back as yet, as we can now see a replay of Matty getting very close with Martin, and Martin going very defensive very late there, Scott.
Yeah, intriguing there from Martin to try and move eventually to the outside. That was quite a neat little trick there from Matty to force Martin to go effectively to the outside, which then freed up the inside for the corner, which then saw Matty just draft past and take the position. But now just going back to the situation between Noble and Limitless. Limitless can now see Noble, and for anything, that's going to be an incentive for him to push even harder. But of course, if he pushes too hard, of course, his tyres are going to start to wear out and fall off the cliff, which means that it's not going to work out for him in his favour. And also, what's key is that the longer that Noble stays behind Rosberg, the more he's getting held up, and the quicker it's going to allow Limitless to catch up. As I think Rosberg does indeed pit, which is a rather heavenly sight for Noble, as he gets a clear track to himself, and he knows now in these last 7 laps he's going to have to push like hell to put and go like the wind in order to try and hold off TRL Limitless and see if he can possibly hold on to another victory. We see here Red Bull guys servicing Fisi. He goes on to the option tyre for the final few laps, and with lighter fuel though, the fuel that he's burnt off during the race will certainly help the load and the tyre wear going forward into the last few laps of the race. We're on board with Ricky now. He's closing in on Matty now for a potential 3rd place. He's got DRS and used about half his curves, pulls to the inside, and with an easy move, drafting past the Williams to move up into a podium place. I wonder what response Matty's going to have. He still has all of his curves left, so whether or not he'll use some on the exit. Yes, indeed he is. So using, let's see how much, probably about half a bar or such, as the man in the last position. Mazy makes his last pit stop onto prime tyres. That'll allow him to push all the way to the end. As we now continue to come back to the battle for 3rd place between Ricky and Matty. And Matty's going to try and repass the McLaren as soon as possible, but Ricky's making that McLaren the widest MP428 as possible, and Matty's going to try. He's going to have to work harder to try and make this move stick at some point through turns 7 and 8 at about 170 miles an hour. And there's a bit of an incident ahead. There's yellow flags around for an incident of some kind. Can't see where that is or who it is possibly, but there is an incident apparently somewhere in that sector. Back with Fisi on his fresh option tyres, trying to get those up to temperature. And I'm pretty sure he'll come under attack in the next few laps from the likes of SE Racing and such. But then again, if Fisi's on those quicker option tyres, he may start to close in on this battle again between Matty and RickeeyC. Rosberg is now in P5 though. He's now going to start to press matters. And just been told on my ear, the yellow flag was Trace's ghost car for the problems he's having. And here comes Matty back on the inside to repass Ricky for 3rd position. So I wonder here if Ricky's got any kind of response. If he hasn't, then we'll know he's possibly burnt his tyres up a little too quickly, and that's going to put him prone to attack from behind by the likes of Rosberg and also Ricky, as Ricky's teammate Randy drafts past Essie to take 7th place, I should say. So a lot going on the final few laps, but I think the crucial battle we're going to have to watch out for is whether or not Limitless has got enough pace left in that car and in those tyres to close in on Noble and potentially try and challenge him for the victory here in Korea.
Well, on paper, Limitless really should be catching Noble up in front, because he's got a lap fresher tyres, and he wasn't too far behind. I mean, he was helped, well, aided, I'm sure, by Noble's mistake, and also being slightly held up by Rosberg, and then Rosberg peeled into the pits, so Limitless didn't have to go through the pain that Noble had to. So it'll be very interesting to see when Limitless decides to crank up the engine and really go for this victory with 6 laps to go. Will Limitless get another victory? It looks like on the mini-map it's looking pretty close up in front, and I'm sure Limitless will have some fuel. It depends what the Noble does, and I'm sure obviously the first sector is going to be Limitless's idea of where he's going to be overtaking Noble if he gets close enough, because that's where it seems to be the most overtaking going on. The middle sector, well, the first part of the middle sector, I mean, they can be side by side as we've seen earlier on in this race, but the last sector really is kind of single file, you would say, as you said in the introduction. It's a lot like a street circuit. It's very tight, and there's only one car width, I'm pretty sure, through most of the corners, as Fisi sets the fastest lap of a 37.8. So it looks like Fisi is trying to push on to 5th rather than falling into the clutches of people like Randy behind him. So Fisi on those fresh option tyres, where can he get by the end of the race? There's people that are on prime tyres in front of him. Rosberg isn't one of them, but Ricky and Matty are. So it's going to be, you're going to have to wait and see until the last few laps, I think, before Fisi will catch up to them. But it looks like Martin is coming, or trying to overtake SE down towards the hairpin, but he can't. And it looks like SE saved half of his curves, but he's not close enough to Randy to take advantage of that. And will Martin get a run on him? It looks like he's just about managing to maintain the same amount of speed as SE coming through these tight, complex corners now. It's a very good fight for 7th position, and it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. I'd put my money on Martin, to be honest, as SE's struggling through these corners once again. This is not the first time that we've seen him sliding through there, and Martin's got a very good run now. Can he get through on the inside? Yes, he does. But now Essie's going to have the inside for the next corner, and he's got the camber of the corner as well, and he's up the inside again. Can he make it stick for 8th position? Will Martin dive up the inside? No, he won't. So Essie, great defending from him. Randy's now managing to get away slightly from those two, what with those going side by side. So here is the battle for the lead. Limitless 2.4 seconds behind Noble, and he still hasn't cranked up his engine. This is slightly annoying me, to be honest, with plus 1 lap of fuel with only 4 laps to go. I can't actually believe that Limitless hasn't cranked up his engine yet, but maybe he is waiting for a final or maybe 2 laps of onslaught on Noble. Noble's possibly thinking, I've got this in the bag, but Limitless has got something up his sleeve as Martin now flies past SE and up into 8th place, and he is now going to set as he goes very defensive again and then comes back onto the racing line. Very strange driving from Martin there. Not sure what he's doing, as he was kind of defending from thin air as he had the DRS, but he's now going to set off and try and overtake Randy for 7th. And we're now on board with Ricky, who's having a great race in 4th. And as you said, Scott, earlier, Rosberg has caught up and is now right behind him.
This could be pretty intriguing. We said this guy's made a fantastic debut. It's even better. There was a small piece of contact between Ricky and Rosberg. Ricky did go wide, to be fair. I think he tried to pull across back onto the racing line after his little mistake. Didn't realise Rosberg had shot up the inside. There was a small piece of contact as they banged wheels. Rosberg is up into P4. And just as Martin did a couple of races back when he made his debut, he really is making an impact here in AOR after he stepped up from GP2. As I said, Ferrari have got 2 very exceptional quality drivers who stepped up from one league down back up into the F1 league from GP2, and they're certainly making the most of the fact that they are now in the top league and proving their worth. And already Rosberg is up onto the back of 3rd place xMattyG. This could be an intriguing finish here in the final few laps. Is Rosberg, the man he's in his first race in the F1 league, possibly going to spark his introduction to the league with a podium finish? We'll have to wait and see. He's forced Matty a little bit wide. Rosberg's going to come up on the outside as they come towards turn 7, 8. Hold your breath. They're going to be side by side, and Matty's going to stick up and his nose in front. Rosberg's not given up until small contact through turn 7, 8. There's more touching as well, and there was warning cause of collision there for Matty. Now, I'm not quite sure why that's come across, because Rosberg was trying to get up the inside. He gets sideways across the curb on the exit, and Rosberg is through. So Rosberg gets into P3 in his first ever AOR F1 race. What an incredible drive that is from the Ferrari driver. Shades of Martin, I think it was Monza his first race, either that or it was Spa. I'm pretty sure it was Spa was his first race. We now look back at his racing team, that's Martin, we were just talking about him. He's spun, his car's facing sideways on the edge of the track, and there's Randy also there as well. And I wonder if there's a connection between the two, whether or not those two got together at turn 4, and that's just a result of SE getting through and taking advantage of the mistake that Martin had trying to rejoin. Now we're back on board with Fisi as we come on to the penultimate lap. He is in 6th, Ricky is just in front in P5, so that pace on the option tyres really coming into its own here for the Red Bull, and he's then closing it on the McLaren for a top 5 finish. And back to these two at the front. This is the crucial battle at the front for the lead of the race. Noble leads, but only by Limitless by about roughly 2 seconds, so that's 1.9. So Limitless, with much more pace on his prime tyres, closing in mainly under braking, I'd say. But it's all action in the final few laps as we come towards the end of the race. Randy now under attack from SC Racing Team, who switches to the outside into standard mix 2, and with an easy pass, he breezes past Randy into 7th, but it's not over yet because Randy goes back up the inside. SC puts his hand up saying, come on Randy, be fair, leave me some room. And in fact, all that actually gives Mark a chance to repass Essie after his mistake earlier on. So these guys are fighting hammer and tongs, and so are these two. The McLarens are getting involved in all sorts with Ricky under pressure, and Ricky's disappeared. In fact, he's right there. He's suffering from a lot of lag spike, a major one, in fact. So I want to see how that's going to affect him. So we're back to the battle for the lead, and it's down to still about 1 second, 1.8 seconds, I think. I'm trying to see on my screen. So it's all going to come down to the final tour of the Korea International Circuit. It's going to be Noble versus Limitless for the victory. How do you call it, Matty? How's it going to go? Because this is going to be down to the wire, I'm pretty sure.
Well, it looks closer than 1.8 seconds, if I'm honest. The timing screen looks to be a little bit out as he's got DRS. It's not 1.8 seconds at all. So Limitless has got DRS for the final lap of the race. Can Noble keep first position? It's going to be very interesting because the DRS, will Limitless get DRS down this straight? I'm pretty sure he will. And let's have a look. Yes, he does. So he activates. He put it down to standard mix. He's going to save half of his curves for the exit of the hairpin. And Noble looks like he's got a bit of a lead going to the hairpin. But under braking, as you say, Limitless very, very good. And he's caught up a huge amount to the Williams driver. And he's put it up into rich fuel mixture. Now, finally, we see Limitless go up into rich fuel mixture. And we'll see if he can overtake Noble on the last lap of the race. As Fisi is now going past Ricky and up into 5th position. So that's brilliant from Fisi, up into 5th, and that is going to be a very, very happy Norwegian driver in that Red Bull cockpit, as Noble is now looking like he's got past the dangerous part. No, he hasn't. He's onto this curb. But he's just about managed to keep first position. But Limitless is all over the back of him now in the slipstream as well. And that's RickeeyC. He's gone absolutely flying through on Fisi. Oh my God, there's action everywhere. Limitless is right behind Noble into the last sector almost. Here we go. Oh, towards the end of the middle sector at least. Can Limitless get another victory in AOR? It doesn't look like it at the moment because Noble is just about managing to stay ahead of Limitless after that mistake on the curb. And can Limitless, we're now into the final sector. I've said it's a single file sector. Can Limitless make it? 2 cars. It doesn't look like it, as Noble's got another few corners to go to take a victory from the smallest of margins from Limitless. And I'm sure Limitless is going to be disappointed with that. But Noble comes through to take another victory. Very close indeed and very entertaining. But thank you, boys, for that great battle, as we now come on board with Fisi Fan in 5th position, -1 lap of fuel. Hopefully he doesn't run out of fuel, as Ricky is in 5th position as well apparently, but we'll see who actually comes home in 5th, as Matty comes home in 4th. And Ricky's going to let Fisi through by the looks of things, although he's not actually there on Fisi's screen, which is very interesting. So Ricky, sportsmanlike, after he absolutely pile drived into Fisi, gives back the position, and SC Racing Team coming home in 8th. But I don't think that actually happened on Ricky's screen, as far as I'm aware. That whole going straight on into Fisi. I think that was another ghost car incident, but it doesn't really matter. He gave back the position anyway. As Mazy comes home in last position, unfortunately for him, swerving over the line. But wow, Scott, what an end to the race.
Absolutely. Let's just take you through some of the battles on that last lap. This is Mazy fending off Trace Me, who tried to make a very brave outside pass on Mazy, clipped the inside curb, which hindered his traction on the exit, and Trace Me on the option type was able to get through. This is Noble as he went wide across the curb, and you see it just pulled him across onto the AstroTurf, which allowed Limitless to close in. This is now Limitless as he closed in through turn 9. Now, was there a bit of a nudge here? Ooh, there was slightly, but not enough to push Noble wide. So that was just how close Limitless got to taking that race victory, and just here across the line, how close it was at the end for first and second. Now here's the crucial incident. This is Fisi Fan and Ricky. Now Fisi makes the initial pass down towards turn 3, gets the job done, and now down towards turn 4, watch for the contact. He brakes, turns in, down to first gear, bang! And there is Ricky going straight across. Now that's Fisi's view of it, but the crucial part is there's Ricky apparently going across the runoff area, and here's Ricky's view of it, and I think this must have been lag, as you said, turns in, and there was a huge lag bubble, and that pushes Fisi around. I'm pretty sure that Ricky must have realised that was all down to lag. And I thought originally that Ricky had run out of fuel here, but it was sportsmanlike as he lets Fisi through on his screen. Of course, Fisi can't see him as he thinks Randy's already finished, but incredible finish to the race. But as per usual, it seems, that man is once again at the top of the podium and celebrating another victory and another step closer to another AOR title.
but it wasn't easy for him, that's for sure. Let's go through the race classifications, and Noble did take the victory, but only just under 0.3 of a second from TRL Limitless in the Toro Rosso, and TRL Rosberg having a brilliant debut at Korea, a 3rd place for him and 15 points, and he'll be looking to try and not get relegated by the end of the season. xMattyG coming home in 4th after starting in 10th position, a good drive from him, with Fisi coming home in a very strong 5th position and 10 points for him. RickeeyC coming home in 6th after being very sportsmanlike at the end. He could have had 5th and got away with it, but he decided to let Fisi through. Randy Musgrandi coming home in 7th, a solid result for him after very little practice, with SE Racing Team coming home in 8th in the first of the Caterhams, with TRL Martin having a very disappointing race, finishing in 9th, but he did start in 11th, but I'm sure he'll still be very disappointed with that result. Jason 97 F1 coming home in the final points paying position, with Tracy 92 losing out on any points once again, and Mazy finishing in last position, 1 minute and 5 seconds down, and Minty, Contenders and Callum did not start. Martin taking the fastest lap with a 37.8, but at the end he really wasn't anywhere, 9th position for him. So Scott, that was a very, very entertaining race, a lot of wheel banging, some things maybe potentially a little bit controversial, but entertaining nonetheless.
Well, as the phrase goes, Rubbin's racing. In fact, we saw quite a lot of Rubbin today, and also quite a lot of racing. It was very entertaining, lots of battles up and down the field, and we also almost saw a change for the lead on the final couple of laps. Limitless coming oh so close. Of course, here's the Drivers' Championship. Noble extends his lead. Look at that, 250 points. And thanks to the second place, Limitless is now 39 points ahead of Matty. This will now mean that Matty has to do everything he can to finish ahead of Limitless in the remaining races to keep himself in the hunt for second place in the championship. If he's not careful, the likes of Ricky and Randy in the 2 McLarens could start to close in. But from 6th downwards, because we've lost 1 driver from the league, we only have 15 drivers. Everyone from 6th down to 14th have all moved up the field, including Rosberg with that podium. He's jumped straight into 14th, even though he is in the relegation zone. Some of the close battles, Minty and Martin are in their own private TRL battle. 1 point separates them between 8th and 9th. And also we've got a battle going on between Essie and Jason to try and get themselves just out of the relegation zone, or just above it, 3 points away. And here's the Constructors. Williams again running away with it. I'm pretty sure almost in the next round at Suzuka, they are almost going to be certain to wrap up the championship in the Constructors, because Toro Rosso tries their might, just can't get close enough. McLaren are about another 40-odd points back. Red Bull are down in 4th, a further 70-odd points back. And Ferrari have moved up ahead of Caterham thanks to that 3rd place from Rosberg in 5th. So a lot of changes through in the Drivers' Championship, but it seems as though that Noble and Williams once again are sitting up this championship as they did last year. Of course, Noble was in the Toro Rosso, this time with the Williams, but whichever circuit Noble goes to, whichever team he drives for, everything seems to turn to gold for him, and it looks as though he's on the way to another championship. He could secure it possibly in the next couple of races if it all goes well, especially at the next round at Suzuka.
Yeah, he could become a 5-time AOR champion, which is crazy to think. Will he actually become that at the Japanese Grand Prix next week? Let's find out. Hope you guys will tune in, because it was going to be a great race, I am sure. Thank you very much, Scott, for commentating with me today.
Not a problem. Pleasure as always. I'll catch you guys in Suzuka.
We'll see you for the Japanese Grand Prix next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.